Well, Antonio Guterres said the Hamas attacks in southern Israel had not happened in a vacuum. He also said there was no justification for the Hamas attacks. Israel is now withholding visas from UN officials in response to those remarks. Antonio Guterres has spoken again and hit back at the response there's been.
I am shocked by the misrepresentations by some of my statement yesterday in the Security Council, as if I was justifying acts of terror by Hamas. This is false. It was the opposite. In the beginning of my intervention yesterday, I clearly stated, and I quote, "I have condemned unequivocally the horrifying and unprecedented 7 October acts of terror by Hamas in Israel. Nothing can justify the deliberate killing, injuring and kidnapping of civilians or the launching of rockets against civilian targets." Unquote. Indeed, I spoke of the grievances of the Palestinian people. And in doing so, I also clearly stated, and I quote, "But the grievances of the Palestinian people cannot justify the appalling attacks by Hamas." Unquote. And then I went on with my intervention referring all my positions on all aspects of the Middle East crisis. I believe it was necessary to set the record straight, especially out of respect to the victims and to their families. Thank you.
Well, let's go straight to our North America correspondent, Neda Tawfik, who's there at the UN in New York. And Neda, your analysis of what we just heard.
Yeah, well, Matthew, I mean, the Secretary General, as he said there, was shocked that this became an issue yesterday. He said that he thought he needed to set the record straight because just yesterday he was many times over the last several days. In fact, once the October 7th attack happened, condemned Hamas's attack. And he has actually made these comments in the past about that the attack didn't happen in a vacuum, while also stating that Palestinian grievances couldn't justify it. So he has come out very sharply here, rejecting any characterization that tries to portray him as justifying acts of terror. The Secretary General coming out to speak to the press purposely for that. And it's important because, remember, the UN is on the ground in Gaza. Just yesterday, them saying they are on their knees pleading for humanitarian aid, pleading for a ceasefire. And Mr. Guterres here certainly wants to keep the focus on getting all of the hostages freed, on getting aid into Gaza, on working toward a ceasefire. And so he said it was necessary to come out and set the record straight about exactly where he stands.